Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm Gavin Law from Gavin Law Videography.
And I'm Tom from Tom Studios Wedding Photography.
We are wedding professionals. We switched from Canon and Nikon over to the Sony A7III. And today we're gonna be talking about that switch and the top 5 reasons why you guys should too. So the first thing we want to talk about when it comes to how great the A7III camera is gonna be autofocus.
So one big aspect for wedding photography is the quality of the autofocus. And back when we used our Nikon cameras, we'd have to be constantly checking the back of our cameras to see if the shots we took were in focus or not. But now, after we switched to Sony, the cameras are so accurate that we don't even have to worry about it anymore. We can be confident that the shots are in focus.
Same with Canon, where before the Canon camera didn't really have a great autofocus feature on it. It just had manual. You had to be a professional manual focus puller when it comes to videography side of things. So you just had to kind of have the eye for it and trust yourself. Whereas nowadays, like Tom said, the autofocus when it comes to videography even just tracks amazingly and it just looks awesome.
So the second thing we want to talk about is the weight of the cameras. So when it comes to wedding photography, you're shooting all day long. They can be 10 to 12-hour days of shooting. So each pound that you're carrying around really weighs on your body. So every pound you can take off of your camera equipment can really benefit you during the day.
Another thing is how small they are. It makes it so you can compact it in and not carry around a huge bag anymore. You could carry around just like a tinier bag on top of being less weight and also being more hidden in the crowd. Instead of having this big, huge camera around, you get to carry around a smaller one and be more stealthy with everything.
So one part of the weight that we really struggled with our Nikon setup was the 70 to 200 range. Our 70 to 200 2.8 lens was so heavy that we could barely carry it around and shoot with it most of the day. So something we were looking into when we were switching to Sony is switching to the Sony 70-200 f4. We thought this would be a good option because of the super weight savings. This lens is so much lighter that we can carry it around all day, shoot with it all day, and it not being a factor. And then because of these cameras' great ISO performance, we were able to get away with this f4 version versus the 2.8 and still be able to shoot in really low light and get really great autofocus in really low light.
And if you're interested in this lens, we'll have a link down in the description so you could check it out for yourself. So the third thing that we love about the A7III is the ability to customize pretty much all of the buttons on the camera. It's really helpful when you're coming from Canon or Nikon, because what I did for my camera was to make the buttons similar to what it was on the Canon. So I switched those around just so I could make it easier and faster to use for myself coming from the Canon side.
And for me, as a Nikon shooter, there was a few things that always bothered me about how different buttons were set up on the camera. And I was able to do exactly what I wanted after I switched to make the camera exactly the way I like it. So number 4 is the stealthiness of these cameras. So these cameras do have the option to shoot with silent shooting. The silent shooting on these specific cameras isn't perfect, but in certain scenarios you can use it, and it's really great to blend into the background. Another thing is on my Nikon camera, I wasn't even able to use the live view because of the autofocus was so bad. But with these cameras, the autofocus is just as good on the back of the screen. So you can kind of look down at the screen and shoot a lot more candidly and people won't look at you as much. Versus when you bring it up to your eye, it's much more of a statement.
Oh, and the flip screen was pretty awesome because on the Canon like 5D and 6D and the 7D did flip out, but a lot of the other Canon cameras didn't have a flip out screen, which can come in handy when you're trying to shoot up high or even down low. So the fifth thing that we love about this camera is the huge quality difference going from Canon, where they just didn't look as good, like it was a little grainy, the coloring felt a little off. When you switch over to Sony, I felt like it was crispier images, the coloring looked way better out of the camera, and it was just a huge upgrade for me in my business to switch from Canon to Sony just for that reason alone. So that is 5 reasons why we love switching over from Canon and Nikon to the Sony A7III. If you yourself are interested in picking up one of these cameras, we're gonna have a link down in the description below. So I want to say thanks to Tom Splendorio of Tom Studios Wedding Photography for coming on and talking about all his knowledge when it comes from switching from Nikon to Sony. So if you really liked this video, thought it was helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. And that's it from Tom and myself. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.